Hello, everyone. This is Heather with Ghost Education 101, and I am excited to be joined with Phillip today. We're going to talk about scrying, and he has an amazing presentation he's going to share to discuss the different techniques on how to do scrying. Well, thank you for joining, Phillip. How's your day today?
The day was great, beautiful weather. Been looking forward to this. This is something totally different for us at GhostEd. It's nothing scientific. It's just going to be a lot of fun.
Sounds great, and we can get started whenever you're ready.
Okay, all right. Just let me get to my screen here. All right, first let's talk about what is divination. We hear that word a lot, but it is the art or practice that seeks to foresee or foretell future events or discover hidden knowledge, usually by the interpretation of omens or by the aid of supernatural powers. And where scrying is concerned, most often we're thinking supernatural powers as in the spirit world. All right, what is scrying? Scrying is an ancient form of divination, also known by various names such as seeing, peeping, which is a way of looking into the past, present, or future. It is the practice of looking into a suitable medium, such as a crystal ball, a black mirror, smoke, steam, or in what I like to do, water scrying, done in the hopes of detecting significant messages or visions. The objective might be personal guidance, prophecy, a revelation, or just plain inspiration. Down through the ages, scrying in its various forms have been a prominent form of divination and spirit communication. 2020 was pretty horrible for all of us, and a lot of us were isolating. And I did a lot of scrying in the hopes of getting inspirational images. So the spirits were really good at providing them for me and keeping me busy this last year. Now, the word scrying comes from an old English word, descry, which means to make out dimly or to reveal. Therefore, scrying is about revealing the unseen using our inborn second sight. Second sight is our capacity to see things that can't usually be perceived with our five senses. So, what we're using here is what a lot of people call their third eye or their mind's eye. Scrying was first mentioned in the 10th century in an ancient Persian text called the Shamanaya. Later, as Christianity rose to power, what they were doing, trying to control us all, scrying was outlawed as a work of the devil. We hear that a lot. If someone doesn't understand something, it's got to be of the devil. And yet, most every culture has used some form of scrying. The Native Americans' observation of smoke to the Egyptians' use of oil gazing to gain wisdom. These days, scrying has largely evolved into a pagan practice. But you don't have to be pagan to experiment with it. Absolutely anyone can experiment with it. Now, scrying helps us get in touch with our unconscious minds, the realm of the soul, like I said earlier, our third eye. As such, it can be used as a powerful form of self understanding, psychoanalysis, if you're struggling to find direction, meaning, or purpose in life. Scrying could be a wonderful way to get in touch with your core needs, dreams, and goals. Bet you didn't know all that about scrying. Usually, scrying is performed with the use of a reflective surface, such as a mirror, water, crystal globe. However, there are many other forms. Here are just 9 of the common types. Wax. Now, this one's done by dripping wax onto a water surface, or some people drop the wax into water. The scryer then interprets the images or words formed from the dried wax. Cloud. also called cloud gazing. This form of scrying involves observing the clouds, of course, as you would think, and the shapes they form. This is used to gather special information or knowledge. Now, here's one of the most common one that we hear about is mirror scrying. This is the most popular form that people do. It's also called catatropomancy, if I said that right. It involves relaxing your vision and staring into a mirror. After a while, images and scenes will begin to emerge. You can do this with just a regular mirror in a dark room with just a candle lit is probably about the most popular way to do this. You can also use a black mirror, and I have done black mirror scrying, and you ask the mirror to reveal specific things. When I did it, I asked to see past lives, to see what I was in past lives. So you keep staring at the mirror, and I have to tell you, my face started changing into the face of an old woman, and it freaked me out. So that one I'm not so thrilled with, but it is fascinating, and if you want to try it, that's an easy one to do. Now, the one that's my favorite, of course, is water. Staring into water, images can be perceived after time. It's kind of like mirror scrying. You're going to focus in on the water. Objects such as pebbles can be dropped into the water to create ripples, and the ripples can even be interpreted. That's not how most of us do water scrying now with the advances of technology and lights and cameras and things, but we'll get into that in just a bit. Oil. This is a form of scrying that involves pouring oil into a dish or rubbing it on the body or coating a cup or a plate. The scryer then observes the light reflected off the oil to get the information. Fire, possibly the most ancient form, this type of scrying involves gazing into fiery flames for visions. This can be done through the use of simple candle or an oil lamp, or the best way to do it is a bonfire. And I'm sure we've all seen on Facebook people post pictures of bonfires and say, "Can you see that face? Do you see those faces? It looks like a devil." Yeah, I've seen a lot of those, and it is quite interesting. And some people, of course, are going to say it's pareidolia, but it is a form of scrying. And next we have smoke scrying. As smoke rises from a fire, its ethereal shapes present spiritual messages and also images. This can be done with steam or vapor. And years ago, I went to a psychic medium, and he took a candle and a white plate and held the white plate over the smoke of the candle and then flipped it over and read the smoke images on the plate. He didn't speak English, so I have no idea what he saw in my future, so I can't tell you if it came true or not. All right, the next one is crystal. This is a stereotypical form of scrying, but nonetheless very effective. It involves the use of a crystal object, usually a crystal ball or globe, to gather special meaning. You know, we've all seen the images of the gypsy staring into the crystal ball, but it is an actual form of scrying. There's also another thing that you can do with crystals, such as the quartz crystals and the different crystals, is spirit photography of the crystals, looking up closely at the crystals and taking pictures and seeing images. I have seen some amazing, what looks like spirit faces in some crystals before. So that's another way to experiment with the crystal gazing, is to do it with photography. Now, eye scrying, this one is unusual. It's also called soul gazing. This form of scrying involves, as what you would think, looking deep within a person's eyes and observing their reflections. I don't suggest you do that to anyone on a first date because they may think you're nuts. Okay, so when we're scrying, what is it that we'll see? What are we looking for? So what does one see in puddles of water, mirrors, candles, flames, crystals, smoke? Well, usually irregular shapes or clear images from the past, sometimes the present, sometimes possibly the future. What makes each experience unique is that it is up to the scryer to interpret the images that come up in the reflective surface. This is why a lot of people sometimes look at my images and see something completely different. Each image that you get is meant for you to interpret the way you see it and what you need and looking for and asking for when you do a scrying session. To hone your skills and read with accuracy should involve a lot of practice. A mark of an advanced scryer is the ability to read and interpret messages anytime and anywhere. I'll have to say, I get a lot of images that dumbfound me and I have absolutely no clue. Some of them look alien, some of them look like they're just from somewhere else. I don't know where, but it's all in what I'm asking for, which I'll get into later. Now, here are some examples of smoke scrying that I do. This is what I see an eye. This is the nose, the cheek, the lips, and a long chin here with possibly the hair. And then this one, the face in here. There's an eye, a nose, mouth, a long chin. And here you can see a face. I have lots of these, but these are just 3 that I pulled for you to get an example. Now, I've done this smoke scrying with burning incense or sage, and I put it against a black board, like a black piece of paper, and I will put whatever light I choose. Sometimes I use colored lights, sometimes I use white LED lights, and then I'll video the smoke and then go back through and look at each frame to see what I get. You can also do it with those atomizers that you put the oil in that put fragrance into a room. Those are really good. I've used those also a lot, which is also a lot of fun. But give that a try. That's really, really easy to do. But you need a very, very neutral backdrop and a very strong, bright light on the smoke. Now, water scrying methods and images by myself. These are for me. Here's one that I got in a silver bowl. And I think I was using the white light. And here's a face that I interpret to be as a face. And this one gives me a really good feeling. It's light, bright, and airy. There's also some emerging face probably here, in here. But I really thought this was a beautiful picture. And this may possibly be the cover of an upcoming book of a friend of mine that's writing a book on mediumship. She says she wants to use one of my images and she really likes this one. So hopefully it'll be on the cover of a book. Let me talk to you a little bit about what my images are. My images that I get are not like a typical photo, black and white photo of a person. A lot of people that do scrying get images that look like black and white negatives a lot of time. For some reason, it seems that my energy brings on a much more artistic, ethereal type of image, not so defined as a black and white image of a person. So that's just the way I get it. I think each person, depending on your own energy and how you perform the session, you will get your own type of images. A lot of my images are in profile that I've noticed. I ask specifically a lot of times for them to show me their face from the front, but I get a lot of profiles of people, which, well, I believe are people. And multiple faces in an image may merge into one larger face, which you'll see some examples of in just a bit. Several of my images appear to be wearing clothing or hats, and I will show you that later. And I'll describe the images in the way that I see them and interpret it. But remember, every person may see something totally different. Just as in like EVPs, we all may hear something totally different, or it's just up to the person to see what they're meant to see. All right, my process for scrying. First, I do a meditation, and it's brief, doesn't have to be long. I do something called sitting in the power. This is something mediums do to build their energy up to make a connection. And after I've done that, I'll set my intention, which is I'll be asking for what I want to see. You may be wanting to see something of the past. It's up to you to ask and set your intention as to what you want to get from the session. But I'll ask my spirit guides, angels, my spiritual teachers, ancestors, or any spirit of the highest and best who would like to be remembered to show themselves to me in the water. Now, the reason I say highest and best, you have to think about when we talk of Ouija board usage, which we all have our own ideas about that. But with scrying in this process, you are sending out an invitation to the spirit world. So you have to be careful for what you ask for. Just like people who use a Ouija board and don't ask for specific higher realm beings can get into a lot of trouble. And that's how we get a lot of our paranormal investigation cases when families have dabbled in a Ouija board and done something they shouldn't. So I always ask for the highest and best to come through. Nothing else is allowed to come through. So I asked them to show me an inspirational or uplifting image. I did a lot of that in 2020, looking for something uplifting and something to inspire me to get me through all those days of sitting at home. All right, let's talk about how I do it. I use a variety of stainless steel bowls, and these are actually nothing expensive, nothing special. I use a giant stainless steel mixing bowl that you will see some images from. This reflective black bowl, and you want to make sure there's like nothing, no insignia or mark on the bottom that can be an issue and cause false positives in your pictures. And I've done a technique using a basic glass jar, and I actually spray paint half of one side in a gold color or a black color, something to give me a backdrop for the light to reflect off of. Here you see that, and I have a full spectrum light that I use. Now, after the presentation, I have posted a 1-minute session using the glass jar and this light, and I've posted it on my personal paranormal Facebook page, Brave Souls Paranormal, which a lot of you may know and seen. I put things that I experiment with. But that session is on there. I did that before we started. So you're all feel free to go look at that video and take still screenshots. You may even want to download it or zoom in. And I want you to post whatever you find, what you think could possibly be an image that speaks to you. And I've already glanced through it and saw quite a few things myself. So if you want to see how it works, just go to my page after the presentation, and there's a video for you that's brand new for you to look at. But I use a combination of lights. I experiment with all types of lights. Most people will just use natural sun, filtered sunlight, but I like to get artsy and see what I can find. But this is one of my large stainless steel bowls, and I have found the more water you put in, the more water surface you have and better chance of catching an image than you do, say, in one of the smaller bowls. But this is a what's called a stained glass light bulb. It has different colors in it that you can see how it looks in the water. This is, it looks red, but it's actually just a white LED light. And I'll just put those over the water, not directly on top of the water because you don't want it to glare back into the camera lens. Then, all right. So I have the water in the vessel. I will put my usually 1 or 2 fingers in the water on the edge of the bowl, and I'll move the water back and forth very gently, just creating ripples and movement in the water. And while I'm doing this, I will film the bowl with the water. I either use my 4K digital camera, or most of the time I just use my iPhone because the iPhones now have such great video quality. You can use those, and it's much easier than setting up your big camera. Now I've tried using other tools for moving the water. Like I tried using a large wooden spoon to put in the water to move it around. I've tried a pencil, a few other things, but it seems that I get less results than when I have my own fingers or hands in the water. So I'm led to believe that there's something about our energy, our soul, our personal energies that are some kind of conduit to the energy that's needed to produce or manifest these images, because it's been consistent. I do much better when my fingers are in the water, touching the water. I think I even posted one on Ghost Education, and it looks like a little face with 2 hands touching my fingers. It's a really cool picture, but you'll have to look for it. I think I posted it on our group page. Now, a session will usually last about a minute, because when you're going through all this frame by frame, if you do 10-20 minutes, you're going to be exhausted looking through all those pictures. And I'll look through a video of 1 minute over and over and over again, and I'll take the still shots from those of what I think are interesting or possibly spirit images. How we doing, Heather? Okay, here's
Sorry, you're good.
Since I can't see the screen, I'm just
Oh,
going.
no. You're good. I was muted. Sorry about that.
Okay, no, just checking. All right, here's a setup with the bowl, and this is my 4K digital camera. I have it pointed at the water. This is just a little woo-woo something. I had my candle with my crystals to it. I mean, that's nothing you have to do. I just added it for fun. Here's another look at the stained glass bulb. It really makes beautiful light on the water. This is another lighting technique I use. This is a soft light box, which is actually what I'm using now for this broadcast. You can get these on Amazon. They're relatively inexpensive, but I'll place it next to the bowl of water, and you can just see the soft light that it puts onto the water. This is a red bulb, and this is a black vessel. Now, don't laugh, but this is actually my black crock pot, which I've gotten actually stunning images out of. Hey, try anything. I use this black water glass I'm drinking out of and get images. These are, you all know these are full spectrum lights. This is the new light by Ghost Stop that I had to have, and it's a fun light to work with. I use these. I also use just a plain LED white light. I'll use them in combination or one-on-one, just depends. I also use natural sunlight. Go outside on a sunny day. Now here we go. This is probably what a lot of you are thinking. A lot of people say when they look at these images that some argue that they're merely pareidolia, which is the tendency to perceive a specific, often meaningful image in a random or ambiguous visual pattern, namely a face. That seems to be what our brain wants to put together with images, is turn it into a face. So all I ask you is, after observing the images I'm going to show you, I want you to just decide for yourself whether you think there's anything to them or not. It's totally up to you. But whether you believe or not that there's anything spiritual or supernatural, or these are from something else, just enjoy the pictures for the artistic nature, because some of them are just really cool pictures, regardless if you think there's anything to them. So we're going to get into some of the pictures now. Okay, now this one to me is a profile of a person, an alien, not quite sure, but I see a deep set eye here, the nose coming down, there's a nostril, here are the lips, the chin, ears right here, and this large head could be a helmet, not quite sure, but that to me seems to be clearly a face. And that was done with the black bowl and the white LED light. Move over here. Of course, this was done with the green full spectrum light from Ghost Stop. But do you see a face here? Does that look like a face with an eye here, the nose, the lips, the outline of the face? Something ethereal going on here. Maybe this is his third eye glowing. We don't know. There's also possibly something in here trying to come through. Moving over to this one with the face here. This one I find just fascinating. I think it's just a really cool picture, regardless if it's a face or not to you, but there's a big dark space for eyes, the nose, and you can see the lips here, and then the outline of the jaw and cheekbone, and here would be the neck, this area here, and this, not quite sure, maybe a giant hat or just something from another world, not quite sure, but I think regardless, it's just a really cool picture. So I think this one kind of speaks for itself. You see the eye, the nose, the mouth, the chin, and possibly a little horn right here. That one was in the silver bowl with the white light. I find that one very fascinating. A little spooky, but I'm always asking for the highest and best. So I'm going to think maybe that's not a horn. Maybe it's just a pointed ear and it's something from another dimension. Moving on, here I use the full spectrum light. And hopefully you can see that as a face with the large dark eyes, the nose, the mouth, outline of the face. There's the throat, the neck, part of the body. I think that one's really, really pretty. Everybody still with me? Now, here's a fun one. Here's a profile of a man with a large nose, smiling mustache, his chin, and you can see the outline of a collar and a short sleeve he's wearing, and then his arm coming down here. And you can, when you enlarge this, you can see fingers actually. And I enlarge this, and it looks like he's holding something in his hand. When you enlarge it, there's some kind of emblem here, and it's, I'm interpreting it maybe as a sword, but the interesting thing is he's trailing a head behind him. So I'm thinking this is somebody looking after me and going to take care of any of my enemies, so be careful. Also possibly some faces in here. Right. Here is another one that I think is pretty with the face here, with the eyes, nose, mouth, outline. This is, to me, is probably some clothing flowing. This could be another possible face emerging. And it looks like there could be some type of writing trying to come in here, but I could not get it any clearer, because sometimes when you enlarge them too much, it just degrades the whole image. So And there's another face, faint face in here with the mouth and the eyes. Here is the outline of a face. You have the nose, the lips, the chin, the ear, maybe a large earring, eye, and then it looks to me like there may be some type of headdress here. Here's the neck, the back. So this would be part of the body, but she's leaning forward. And then there's more outlines of faces trying to work its way in. But this one's, I just think, it's a beautiful image. And if you look closely here, it looks like possibly someone trying to come through. There's eyes, nose, mouth, with possibly a hat on with a scarf. Not quite sure. It looks maybe like a beanie with the little thing on the top. I think that's a fun one. I have hundreds and thousands of these images, so these are just some that I pulled that I thought you might like to see. Now this one's interesting. You can see a very square shaped face in here with some type of possible helmet or something, and then there's an arm here coming out, an arm here coming out with the fingers. Here's part of the body, the dress, some little skinny legs. It's a face peeping out right here. But I'm just not quite sure what this one is, but I thought it was very interesting. And here's part of a scary face right here poking through. So maybe this is good versus evil, but this being in white is a good sign. But to me, these look like two arms coming out. This one I find interesting. Looks like some type of tribal person with the face here, the mouth, nose, eye, with some type of white stripe across the cheek, big headdress. His arm is coming down into his hand. His hand's here, his elbow here. But I thought this one was really pretty. And possibly another face here. This one is one that I found in my black crock pot using the red light and the white light. A man with a very large nose, his mouth, small chin, his forehead, and then some type of headdress, perhaps. But I just thought this one was very interesting. This would be his neck. But yep, that one's in the crock pot. These are a couple I just did the other night that I thought were fun. If you can see faintly a face in here wearing a hat with the eyes here, nose, mouth, chin. I just thought it was really pretty. Possibly lots of hair. And this one, there's a lot going on in here. There's an eye, there's an eye, there's a mouth here, the round shape of the head. I just thought the colors were pretty in that one. Now this one I did outside on a sunny day with the clouds above, the trees, and it makes for interesting colors. But can you see a face in here with some type of strange green hair? There's an eye there, a nose, a mouth, chin, and the body comes here, the neck. But his eyes seem to be looking in that direction. Makes me wonder if this is an elemental spirit, since I did this outside and it used all the colors of nature that was reflecting into the water to make this image. This one is in the black bowl with the white light, but there's an eye here, nose, mouth. Not quite sure what these are. Horns, antennas. And then it morphs into another larger face here with the eye here, nose and mouth and chin. But this one's really pretty put on canvas, which I'll tell you about later. Okay, this one was done with the black bowl and the white light, and I used a yellow light from the full spectrum light. But you can see a face in here, nose, eyes, little mouth smiling. His face is sort of in a V shaped, the neck, and then the body. And then something else morphing in right here. Some people says it looks like a Great Dane or a dog or something with the eyes, nose, mouth, chin. And you can look through and discover other things in the pictures. A lot of times people point out things that I never even saw before, or you can turn them upside down and see a different picture altogether. Here's a fun one. I mean, this one's to me is kind of easy to see. Here's a squinty eye here, eyebrow, definite nose, definite lips and mouth, teeth, smiling, chin, jawline going up, wearing this fun, looks like possibly a hat. Here's the neck. But I found that one very interesting. And possibly a profile coming in there of someone else. How are you guys doing so far?
Oh, they're asking you a lot of questions, so when you're done, you'll have plenty to answer.
Okay, good. We're on 28 of 41. Okay. So here's one I was telling you about where many faces turn into one. Can you see all the faces in this one? There's one in here, and you of course go back and look at this video later and stop these images. But here's an eye, the nose, the mouth. Then you go over here. Here's an eye and nose, and then her mouth. She's not too happy here. But there are several in here morphing all together. Here's one large one with the neck. But I find this one fascinating because there's so much going on in here when you break it down and look at it. This is another one that I did outside, and the green would be from the leaves on the tree. But there's the eye here, nose, mouth, chin, side of his face. Like I said, remember, these are not like your typical black and white pictures of people. These are very artistic, not quite sure if they're from this world, the spirit world, another dimension. But I thought this one was interesting. And some people have said this looks like an outline of a monkey or a gorilla, which is like, I have gotten images of what look like monkeys before on several occasions, which that when you look up the spiritual meaning of a monkey, it's quite interesting. All right, here we have a bunch of them put together. This one I find kind of cool. Face here with the head tilted, eye, nose, mouth, chin, the outline of the face, shoulder coming down, which is darker, the body. I just thought this was a really cool picture. Possibly a hat here. You can see my laser pointer, right, on the screen. Okay. Here's one, which is pretty obvious, with the eye here. You see the nose, the mouth, the outline of the face. Possibly another one coming in here. Seems to be looking off, but this is a very interesting eye shape to me. So I'm not quite sure if that's human or probably an ET, not sure. Now here's another one in my crock pot. Some people say this looks like Santa, but that's a scary Santa to me. But his eyes, his nose, the mouth, the chin, and he's wearing some type of hat with the red trim and has the black hat. But he's just gazing upwards. This one is a face that seems to be looking back at me. The entire picture is a whole body, but I just wanted to zoom in on the face here because this one to me almost has a painting effect, like an old painting. The eyes here, the nose, the mouth here, the chin. I call this one Amelia Earhart because it looks like an aviation cap to me from the old days. And then the neck, and it's going down. There's a shoulder going down to the body. Now these are how I interpret it. You may see something totally different, but this is what I think I'm seeing. Here's another one that was taken outside with the blue is the sky, the green would be the trees, and when I move the water, it just mixes all the colors. But there, when I looked at it, it looks like a face was emerging here with eyes here, the nose coming out here, a mouth, the outline of the face, the pupil there, an eye here. So possibly another elemental, I'm not quite sure. You can also see something else from here. I'll look for eyes and things that are distinguishable, like maybe pupils that stand out, noses, proportionate that turns into a face. But there again, could be pareidolia. But regardless, I think it's a really cool picture. Now this one I love. The face is a little distorted, but you've got the eye, the mouth. This is the neck. You've got a shoulder and an arm coming off here. The chest. And to me, well, this is probably a hat. The brown is the hair. Looks like a dog that's looking up at its owner. Some people said this looks like a dog sitting here with its two front legs, the neck, the muzzle, the nose, the eye, which I thought was a very interesting way of looking at it. That it's just a sweet picture if that's the way you're interpreting it. There's also a man right here looking down, watching the situation. But you can see his profile here, and this is the hair. Okay, here's another interesting one. This one was taken outside. But right here, you can see this face with the eye here, nose, the mouth, and then it morphs into this one here with a very large eye, mouth, small chin going into the neck. Then there's another one here that's a little strange. The eyes here, the teeth. You can see that it's divided into two rows. So this one's just all meshed together into several faces. It's a face collage. Just possibly one here with the eye there, mouth, chin. This is the cover of my second book. This profile of this woman here with the pretty lips, pretty eyes, has this 1940s look to her. I mean, I'm sorry, 1920s look to her to me, the way her hair is. She's got her chin resting right here. But that's in the silver bowl with the stained glass light, with reflecting some of the orange here. But I just think this one is really pretty. Pretty lips, chin. Possibly somebody peeking out there. Possibly somebody right here. This one I love. This one was done just with the silver bowl and the white LED. You can see the face half here, eye, the mouth, maybe a beauty mark, not sure. There's the cheekbones going into the chin, body here. Remember, these are artistic pictures. They're not going to be like something out of a high school yearbook. But I just thought this made a beautiful picture. This one is kind of odd. This is some type of creature here. You can see the face, the side of the face. There's a large, deep set eye. You see the white of the eye and the black pupil of the eye. This large nose, kind of almost like a pig nose, a large mouth. Has an ear here. And then goes into the jaw here. Then there's a face here. Eyes, nose, mouth. Very faint right in there. and some other things in here that you can pick out and look at. But this is the main focus right here. Okay, this one is done with a technique where I put a splash of red wine into the water, and it gave it this muted brown color, and it actually turned out some beautiful pictures with the white LED light. So I see a man's profile here with a beard, his mouth here, his nose here, eye here, eye. This is top of his head, his neck. But you can definitely see the outline of his beard. I thought, then there's a bottom of a face peeking out right here, the mouth, chin, and nose, and a few other things in here that you can go back and look at. Now, this one I call cowboy, because to me, this looks like a cowboy hat for some reason. So eye, nose, he's got this big grin here, his chin, side of his face, and then the throat, the neck, and then you can see his shoulder here, shoulder coming down, and then his body's here. It looks like he's pretty happy. There's also some faint faces coming in the background that you can go through and see. They'll come through. Call this one the Pope because of this giant looking white hat here that comes down in the back. But there's a deep set, sullen looking eye, his large nose, his mouth, outline of his face. Doesn't look very, very happy to me, but I think it's a fun picture. Now, this doesn't look like much until you look right here, and then you can see a smiling face with the eyes here, nose, mouth, outline of the face, the neck going into the shoulder. And then there's some other things in here that you can look for because there's some more hidden things that's all through it. But here is the one that stood out to me the most. Now, this one, if you can't see, then I can't help you because this one's pretty obvious to me. His eyes, the black eyebrow, the nose, the mouth, the chin, the jawline, and he's glancing up at the sky. Not quite sure what this is on his head. It could be some type of helmet or emblem or something. Ears in here, his neck. But I really like this one. I think this one's really pretty. Then we move over here, and I'm not quite sure if this is human, animal, otherworldly, but you see a large eye. No, some people said it looks like a lion with the cleft here under the nose and the mouth, the chin, and then has these possible ears coming up and all this mane coming down. Then if you look here, seems to be something coming through. But I think this one was a pretty strong image. There's also a face right in here trying to come through. You can see the mouth, possible eyes. So this one I got the other night. All right, just glancing at this, and then all of a sudden you see something here with an eye and a giant mouth with red lips and teeth. Then you look over here and it's the side of a face. This is a prominent eye with the pupil in the middle and then the lips. So I've blown it up a little bit and you can see the outline of the eye with the pupil, the lips, and this, which I'm not quite sure if it's animal, mineral, or anything else, but the teeth, see the eyes. But that is definitely the side of a face, in my opinion. This one I call Father Time. It just kind of looks regal to me. With the eye here, people here. You see the white of the eye. He's looking up. Here's the other eye, the nose, and then has a long white beard and some type of headdress. But there's also quite a other few things going on. There's a definite face here coming through. But I thought this one was beautiful. There's some type of face trying to come through here. There's one here. But this was the main focus of to me in this picture. Here's the cheekbone. And here we have another one. This one's in the metal bowl outside in just plain sunlight. There's an eye here, the nose, the lips. Here's the cheekbone going into the chin, and then the neck that goes, I guess, to the body, perhaps. But you can see that turns into the resemblance of a face. Now, these are two different images separately that I just put together because I thought they were really cool. But this is sort of skeletal looking to me. You can see the deep set eyes, the nose, the long chin, wearing all black. It's possibly a black hat here. Some other things going on in this picture that you can find when you go back and look on your own. And then this very prominent, possibly maybe Native American, very deep set eye, heavy brow bone. There's the forehead going into the nose, the mouth, the chin going into the neck. I just thought this one was a really pretty profile. It looks great on a canvas. So, like I said, some of them look great printed on canvas. I convert them to 300 DPI, that's dots per inch, and are printed on canvases. Here are some of mine that are going to be in the Spirit Art Gallery. They're doing a show in July and going to have one room with my work. Susan Barnes, one of my mediumship mentors. This is her art gallery in Lilydale, New York, which is, a medium colony. It's a beautiful place. I hope I can go. Here's the address, but I'm very excited. There's she's got quite a few of mine. That's the one in the opening picture of the presentation. This is another profile of a lady, and you saw that one earlier, but she has several that she's going to put on display in a room and do a show for me, which is I'm very excited about. But they do make great pieces of art when they're put onto canvas. So I want to thank everybody for watching. This is the cover of my third book with this character right here who's holding something in his hand. And some people have told me they think that this is a bird in this bubble here. But I thought that's a beautiful picture. It's a large nose, mouth, eyes. It's wearing black. And if you're interested, I have books on Amazon. That was my, this was my first one, The Art of Spirit. The second one, The Artful Spirits, and you can see her. And then Spirit Reflections is my third one. They're also on Kindle, so you don't have to buy the paperbacks if you want to. They're much less expensive in Kindle, and they look just as good. So that's it.
Okay, thank you. I actually learned a lot. And your photos, those are actually really beautiful.
Thank you. Yep. Now if I can figure out how to stop sharing the screen. Okay.
So we do have a lot of questions. I'm going to scroll back up to the top. And if anyone has any questions, feel free to comment. We will get to them, hopefully before we're out of time. Now, I know you discussed earlier the types of bowls that you used, but how do you keep reflections from the bowl or the room from interfering with the image?
Oh, but you have to make sure that the lights are offset, not totally on top of the bowl. And I also um, usually aim my camera at an angle, like the bowl's here. I'll angle it so it's not looking directly on top of the water. Um, you'll just have to practice because sometimes you'll have to move the lights around. It just depends on the size of your bowl, how reflective your bowl is. I tried it with a super highly reflective stainless steel bowl, and it just turned into a bunch of white lines. So you just need to experiment and see how it works for you. But sometimes you will get the reflections. You just have to learn how to move the bowl around to get the right amount of light.
And then what about a smoke machine and snapping Polaroids?
Yeah, that works too. Try anything. But I mean, a smoke machine, if you going to fill your house up with smoke, I mean, if she's talking like a fog machine, or I'm not quite sure what type of machine, but yeah, anything. Try Polaroids. The more pictures you have, the more chances you are. That's why I like to do video, because there's so many more frames per video than there are just snapping pictures. Because I have done that where I just set my camera and hold down, where it just takes a succession of pictures. But this method works for me. Something totally different might work for you or anyone else. We're all different. We all bring different energies to whatever it is we do. So something different may be, will work for somebody else.
And these next two questions go kind of together. So the first
Okay.
one is from Jenny asking if you believe in pareidolia. And then the next question from Karen says, how do you discount it?
Oh, I do believe in pareidolia, and some of mine might be, but I find the images speak to me. They may uplift me or make me feel good, if I'm asking for inspiration. And it may not be spirit, it just may be a beautiful image that speaks to me. So yeah, definitely pareidolia. But some of them I look at, and my heart tells me it's supernatural. It just couldn't be anything else. But definitely, that's just, you have to be objective. But the whole point is, how is it speaking to you when you take the image? Does it move you? Does it show you something? Does it make you think? Is there a message there maybe? I get the number 5 a lot in my images, which is a spiritual message for me when you look up the meaning of number 5. But I get that a lot. Um, and I've gotten monkeys, what appear to me to be monkeys. I've asked other people, do you think this looks like a monkey to you? And so that might be a message I need. I'll look up the spiritual meaning of that. So you can, if you think you're seeing a certain thing, look it up. Try to Google the spiritual meaning of the image you think you've got. But definitely pareidolia is a big part. It's a big part of everything. But, remember you're doing this for your enlightenment, for your soul, for answers. So if it makes you feel a certain way or makes you feel good, or then that's why you're doing it.
And then can you use any type of crystal ball, any size? Should you take into account the crystal that's in use and the intention of the crystal ball?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, as what they say in scrying, any reflective surface. So any size, you just need to be able to hold your concentration until the images start appearing. That's the hardest part. That's like with the soul gazing, the eye gazing, the crystal gazing. It's just my concentration. I can't hold it that long to stare into something. Doing when I did the black mirror scrying, to where my face turned into a woman, that was hard for me to do. To sit there and keep staring and keep staring and keep staring. But yeah, I don't think it really matters the size when it comes to the crystals or the mirrors. Hope that answers our question.
Then when you're scrying, are you opening a portal that needs to be closed later?
I usually thank them. I didn't mention this, but while I'm doing the actual scrying, I'm doing the imitation. Anyone who would like to be remembered, anyone who would like to be seen, who would like me to show their pictures to others to help promote the belief of continuation of life after death. I'm talking the whole time I'm doing it, but I'm asking for the highest and best. So that's my intention. I'm not accepting anything from the lower realms. So, but if you're uncomfortable about it, then definitely say thank you for coming. Please go back to where you were when you started. I do that with ITC work when I do spirit boxes and things. I always say, if you came through, thank you, but you cannot stay here. You must go back to where you were when we started. I'll speak to you again. So if you're uncomfortable about it and are worried, do it. But I've been doing this long enough that I'm not really concerned about that. But because I do the sitting in the power, so I'm. It sounds woo woo, but your vibration's on a different level than it is dealing with negative entities and energy.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And then how do you use a black mirror to get the images?
Well, using black mirror for you, I think it's almost impossible to photograph a black mirror. I tried videoing a black mirror with a candle in front of it. You can do it, but and it would probably work. You could probably capture images in it. It just didn't interest me that much because I like all the color of the images that I get. But you just sit in front of the black mirror and stare into it. I mean, the way you're supposed to do it is in the dark with a candle lit next to the mirror, so it's reflecting into the mirror, and you're staring into the mirror with the light flickering, and the images are supposed to start changing for you. I think that's basically the way you're supposed to do it. Now, I did the black scrying mirror in the daylight, sitting in a chair and just holding it in front of me and staring into it. And I swear my face started changing into a woman, and I had this babushka thing on, and I was like, whoa, this is crazy. So, am I getting past memory regression by, is the mirror gazing triggering it? Who knows? We don't know.
Mm-hmm.
It's all supernatural.
Okay. And then have you tried using hot water?
Well, I stick my fingers in it, so that's not real comfortable. But it wouldn't make a difference other than it's just, because I do use my hands in the water. So hot water would not feel comfortable. I mean, I've splashed red wine in it. I've used, like the water in this one here. Gosh, this is months and months old. I have not changed the water in this. As you can see, the back side is black. I did a layer of gold to be reflective of gold paint. And then I took the light away in the back with the black paint. And this is the jar that I used on the video that's on my Brave Souls page that you can go and do the screenshots for yourself. And I used this light with it. Oh, that looked kind of cool.
And I did have a couple questions. I saw in one of the photos, it looked like it could possibly be writing.
Yeah.
Do you get writing often?
Yes, but it's almost like hieroglyphics or a different language. But there's definitely, I've gotten numbers. I got an 1861, plain as day, written out in the water. Don't know the significance of it. I always keep that in the back of my mind. Sometimes you'll get initials with a picture, but I don't know who they are. I've gotten images of the same, what I believe is the person, 2 times, once in water and once when I did white screen TV ITC. Mm-hmm. It looked like the image of a young boy came through, and it's come through in the water. But I rarely, that's a question I get a lot of times. Have I gotten the same image more than once? And no, they're always different.
Okay. And then my other question was, have you ever taken your water scrying with you on an investigation, or do you just do it at home?
I have, and I've gotten images, but that's, it's kind of hard to do at someone's house, if you're ever had a private investigation to lug a big old bowl in, but I have done it. The one that I called Cowboy, that looked to me looks like it has a cowboy hat on, I actually did at my mother's house a year ago in March when I was there. My mother had passed and I was working on her house and cleaning it out. And I thought, oh, I'm just going to try it here. It's a completely different energy. And that one came up. Now, I have to say, my mother loved country music. So to me, it looks like a cowboy hat he has on. I just found it kind of interesting that in her house, I got that image. And she loved country music and cowboys and that whole thing. So,
okay. And then, have you ever used paranormal equipment along with your scrying?
So a lot of people ask me, do I do EVPs while I do it? I don't. Well, since it's on video, you have the audio, but I'm talking through it, mostly doing the invitation. But like I said, I only do a 30-second to a 1-minute session to look at the images. So there's not enough really time to see if anything happens. You could. I just don't, because I think they're coming from a different plane. They're not. This is my feeling. I don't think they're coming from the Earth plane. So I don't know if the paranormal equipment would be affected, if there'd be any change in the environment. I don't know. It could. It'd be something that you might want to experiment with.
Yeah, or put like the Eddie Plus next to the bowl.
Yeah.
To see if it reads anything.
But I'm just trying not to drop my camera or my phone in the bowl. So, yeah.
Okay. Well, that's it for the questions so far. If anyone has any questions, feel free to ask. We'll make sure we get to them before we leave. And actually, another couple just popped up. So
okay.
When you take the photos, is it a photo burst?
You can. I have done that. I've done photo bursts.
Okay.
I don't always. I mostly video, because the video, because I'll maybe look at a video a few times, and then I may just go back and look at it 6 months later, and I'll find something totally different that I missed before. So I like having the video because I can review it over and over and over again.
Okay. Yeah, and then that's all for the questions.
Okay.
So if I see any more pop up, so I don't know if there's anything else you wanted to cover before we left.
But if you're looking for some good, cheap art to have at your house, do some of these and then send them off to the canvas print places. I'm telling you, they make really pretty pieces of art when you get a cool image. I have one that looks like a lady on a horse. That's the cover of my first book. That one is beautiful on canvas. I have a big one of that. Like I said, I've got tons of these images because it's so easy to do. It's free to do, and I enjoy it, and I like art, and I can't draw. So, but if you look on my personal page, I have a lot of other images. If you look on my Brave Souls Paranormal page, which is where I put personal things, not team things. I just put wacky things that I do. I have a ton of them on there.
Okay. And what is your favorite lighting to use?
I get the prettiest ones with this full spectrum light. There's just so many colors in it. But yeah, the full spectrum one just gives me some really interesting, vivid images with all the different colors. Because when the water moves, the colors just all meld together, and they're just beautiful.
Okay, yeah.
But if you're thinking of trying it, do it. Just experiment. I had light coming in the evening from the front door that goes through the glass, and it makes a rainbow on my wall in the front door. And I'll grab the jar and I'll hold it in that light and I'll video, and that's a whole different experiment that I'll get a different type of picture from. So just play with it. It's fun, but if you're looking for some type of inspiration, or if you really want to get deep and look for some particular meaning, that's what scrying is about. But to me, I just like getting that connection with what I think is the spirit world, kind of guiding me a little bit, letting me know, yeah, we're here. Everything's good. We're going to get through this. Here's some beautiful pictures for you to look at and keep you occupied. So,
And actually, how do you deal with those that like immediately shut it down and say it's all pareidolia?
well, it's just like any skeptic. They don't want to know a lot of times. They're not interested. People who don't believe usually just aren't interested.
Right.
If they were really interested, they would give it a chance and look. So, I mean, I've shown some to my clients at work and they don't get it. And other ones that like totally freaks them out because they'll see it right away. And, religious people get freaked out the most about it because it's like that shouldn't happen. Just like the ghost thing shouldn't be happening. But
oh, sorry.
Ghost just came into the room. But yeah, there's skeptics and then there's non-believers. A skeptic's going to be open and look at all the angles before they make a decision, and some people are going to make a decision without even looking into it or exploring it. So, but I'm having an art show in New York in Lilydale, so somebody likes it.
And a question that just popped up is what's coming up next. So do we want to share? That would be me. So I just closed that file too. I know I have the banner for it, but our next presentation,
I don't have my calendar handy.
Yeah, will be May 12th, and we'll be discussing team roles, duties, and how to select team members for your team. Basically, we're going to be discussing organizational methods and things like that. And then I can pull up just some insight on what we're going to be having in the future throughout the rest of the year, as soon as my computer catches up with me. Okay. And it looks like we're going to have a bunch of our ghost education educators will be getting together and covering our scariest cases and our scariest paranormal events that we've encountered. Then we're going to have an ITC presentation later in June. Sean Whittington, the Rev, will be joining us for just a Q&A and to talk about different cases and different topics. He hasn't pinpointed his topic with me yet. And Michelle Roos will be joining us. She is going to be hosting the Witches and Phantom Tours of Scotland, and she's also a demonologist, and she'll be joining us to talk about cases. One that I'm looking forward to is I have a friend from Florida. He has the Florida Paranormal Bureau of Investigations. He is a former detective. He will be joining us to discuss how he uses his detective skills in the paranormal field. And then just to cover, we have Lloyd coming back. Then we'll have actual presentations on Lloyd Arbach. And then we'll have actual presentations on video and audio pareidolia and how to debunk it. So those are some of our upcoming stuff.
Yep. Back to the educational stuff. This was for fun. Give everybody's brain a break.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And other than that, I don't know if you have anything else. I hate to cut it a little bit short.
Well, no more questions. I didn't want to just keep showing picture after picture after picture, but I think you got a pretty good.
Right. Yeah. No more questions are popping up, and just gonna scroll through.
Also, any of you watching, if there's something you want to know about or like to see a class on or a presentation on, put it on the Ghost Ed page so we have directions to go towards and things to work on getting for you. If not, we're just looking at things that we think that you're going to enjoy that would be useful for you.
One question did pop up. How long have you been scrying?
I started, I started doing visual ITC stuff like about 4 years ago. I started with, I had an old television, and you can see this stuff on my Brave Souls page. And I had the television here, and then I put a mirror here, and then I put the camera facing the mirror, and I covered it all up. And I did video and type of the same thing of where I invited spirits to show themselves. I started with that and got some very promising things, but it just wasn't, floating my boat enough. Then I moved on. I tried the smoke scrying, and then there's a lady. Hopefully, she's watching this. Annette told us I think I said her name right. She does spirit photography, and she gets amazing images of spirit in her eyeglasses. She'll photograph herself, and there'll be people that show up in her eyeglasses. Now, those are more like photographs in a yearbook, where like mine are more artsy and ethereal. People get pictures of real people. So that I kind of just progressed from the television to the smoke to the water scrying, because I saw a lot of tutorials on YouTube about water scrying, and I thought, well, I'll just give it a shot. And then all my pictures started coming looking like art pictures. I don't get any that look like photographs of people. Now there's a water scrying group on Facebook, and there's a girl, I can't remember her name. Her pictures look like people coming out of the water. It's just fascinating. Where mine are completely different. People, it just depends on the person how their pictures come out. And yeah, there's no denying hers. There's no pareidolia in some people's. Where mine, you can interpret it. But there's some great things people are doing with scrying and visual ITC. Scrying can fall under that as long as you're videoing it and recording it, not just gazing into a puddle and meditating. If you're actually videoing it and doing photographs, it's can fall under ITC.
Okay. And what is your favorite method of scrying?
I'd say the easiest one is this freaking jar right here, because I can just pick it up, and I almost feel like sometimes I feel like somebody's there and wants to communicate, and I'll grab it and do it. And it's the less hassle. I know it kind of sounds lazy, but I'm not touching the water physically like I am in the bowl, but I'm holding it. A lot of times I'll put it in my lap with the light and move it with my legs and shake it, so I'm still in contact with it. So I think that's okay. It's making that connection of my energy with the water. But yeah, and I like using the colored lights. In the beginning, if you go back and look at some of my images in the very beginning, like a couple years ago, where I was just using the metal bowl, they all have a certain look to them. The different water vessels are going to give you different kinds of looks. But everyone just give it a shot. But and if you're worried about something coming in, you shouldn't. Just make sure you close out your session like we do with ITC, like spirit boxes, and you'll be fine. It's like anything we do in the paranormal, it's your intention, what you want to get out of it, and what you ask for. So that's how I feel about it.
Okay, perfect. Sounds good.
So when are you going to try it?
When am I going to try it? It's something I've been wanting to try forever. I need to get past these knee surgeries, and then I'll be back to practicing.
Good.
Yeah, I know I've done. I've just dabbled with the mirror, and then the crystal scrying, and I've been trying to find a crystal ball because I want to conduct an experiment during an investigation with the ball. But every time I order one, there's a flaw in it. So I'm waiting until I see one in a store now to actually look at it before I order it and have it shipped.
A perfect clear one. They're not inexpensive for 100% crystal. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I was just looking, I was even just those little photo balls that you can order. Mm-hmm. And I ordered 3 of them, and I had to send it back because each one had almost like a hole in the bottom where they broke it off, like when they made it.
Oh.
And it said that it was free of all imperfections. And I'm like, okay, it's not free of imperfections.
And I also, a lot of, if you Google scrying bowls, you'll find them for sale, scrying bowls, and they're going to be a lot of money. Go to Home Goods and find a bowl. I mean, right. You just want to make sure there's no stamp or anything about, made at Pottery Barn or anything on the bottom of the bowl, because then that's going to throw all your images off, but you
Right.
don't have to spend a lot. I mean, I started out with the stainless steel mixing bowl.
Mm-hmm.
So you just
Yeah.
don't want a lot of scratches on the bowl because that can
Right.
give you some odd things. But don't go out and buy, a $40 scrying bowl. You just don't have to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Like I
Yeah.
said, I mean, I have literally put this water glass in the sink, and one of the images on the canvas that's in that art show, I got in this thing of a woman's profile. I mean,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Now I'm looking forward to playing around with it and testing it. So.
and please, I want everybody to really go look at the video that I posted, and that'll give you a little taste of what it's like. And if you want to download that video, I guess you can download it from my page, and post what you get underneath the video, because I'll be real curious, and tell me what you think you see in the photos.
Right. And if not, maybe we could upload it to YouTube where they have better access for saving and pausing.
Yeah, I can do that too. Yeah.
So, and if you guys are looking for our YouTube channel, there it is. It's Ghost Education 101. You can catch the replay from tonight's episode and from all of our past episodes there.
Now we have, for some reason, we have 2 YouTube channels. One of them, for some reason, we cannot access anymore. Don't know why. So it's the one with the updated videos. So if you find one and there's not much there, that's the very first one that we can't figure out. We can't get anybody at YouTube to figure out. So
I think there's actually, you can tell a difference in the name, if I remember correctly.
Yeah,
the old one says Ghost Education 101 all is paranormal.
Okay.
Where the one is just Ghost Education 101.
Okay. Good. Yeah, don't know what, if we got hacked or something, but all the videos updated are on YouTube.
And Kylie says she's already posted a couple screenshots already from your video.
Good. So. You think you got something? It'd be fascinating. So my best friend, he's not into any of this, but one evening he was over and somehow I got him to do it, and he's like, "Oh my God, I see a face! I see a face!" It was really funny. It's almost like addictive once you do it and you see something that you just like, how's that possible? This is a bowl of water,
right?
So, but you got to also think: is it pareidolia, or do I really have something here? But it's all in how it makes you feel, and the image, how it inspires you. It doesn't matter if it's pareidolia or not.
Right. Yeah, and you get that with any type of photography. Even if you take photographs in an investigation, if you felt something at the time, it might be pareidolia, but if you really felt something, it might not be.
And does it coincide with what you're doing? I got a photograph of what we all see as a little girl with no eyes, which is what the children in the house were seeing. I haven't published that picture, but we all see the same thing in that picture. But some people may look at it and go, "Oh, it's just pareidolia or smudge on the wall." It's like, well, it's in this picture and it's not in the other 3. So where did the smudge go? But
yeah. And Michelle wants to know if you've ever tried to use a black light.
No, I haven't, and I'm glad you said that, because I keep meaning to, and I keep just forgetting to get a black light bulb.
Or a strobe light.
Oh, wow. That's interesting. Because I've got a mini strobe light that I use behind one of my backgrounds that makes lightning. So thank you. I got to try that too.
Okay.
Yeah, so well, now I got something new to experiment with. I thought putting the wine in the water would... I ought to see too if I throw a splash of holy water in it, if it makes any difference, because I've got some holy water.
Yeah. Have you tried food coloring?
No, because then I'm afraid I'll color my fingers if I do it. So.
Oh, yeah, true.
And I have put oil. I'll put olive oil in the water. That didn't really do anything. It may for somebody else. It just didn't do it for me. I just didn't get anything.
Okay.
So we're almost at an hour and a half.
We're almost there.
Good.
Yep. Yeah.
Well, this was fun. I hope people enjoyed it and just enjoy it for what it is. And did learn something because there were a lot of things about scrying, some of the history that I didn't realize. I mean, of course, it was considered pagan and against God, blah, blah, blah. But come on.
Yeah. With the food coloring, Michelle suggests that you wear gloves.
But then, yeah, I just don't have any food coloring anymore. Huh. I have to go try that. But with the full
or put it in a jar.
Do that. Yeah.
And then use it like you do in the jars.
But the full spectrum light, you can, there's different colors in a line. So you can move it up and down, move it around, and get different colors. I put my phone, on like the selfie stick, but it's on a tripod. So I can have my hands free. I'll do that a lot.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
All righty. Well, this was fun. I hope people enjoyed it.
Yep. And if anyone has any more questions, feel free to comment on this video. We will make sure we go back through and keep an eye on it and reply to any comments that we see once we're done. Make sure you check out our YouTube channel to see tonight's replay. And you had something else to say?
If anybody does happen to buy my books on Amazon, I suggest you get a magnifying sheet because things pop out of the images that you just don't see. And also turn them different ways because the pictures will reveal something totally different when they're upside down sometimes. But, I'm not plugging my books, but if you want to buy them, it's great. They are pretty. You can make, cut pictures out and frame them and make pretty art pictures. But definitely I suggest getting the magnifying glass if you're going to get the books.
Okay. Well, thank you for doing this presentation. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I hope everyone else did too. And if that's it, we will see you guys in 2 weeks when we come back and talk about how to set up your team.
Yay.
So, thank you, everyone.
Thank you,
and I hope you all
your support and supporting our page. Please share it. We need more likes. We want to get this out to people, get some good information. So please just share our group. We'd really, really appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you all for joining us. You have a great night.